Joining us now is Martha. Thank you so much for coming up. Thanks for the cake, too.
Oh, I'm delighted to send it.
Delicious.
Good.
He didn't have any, but I can tell you that.
No, I have to tell you something, Martha. I don't know that it was delicious because they ate it all.
Gone. It was like gone in
Yeah.
about 10 minutes, bang.
And everyone wanted to find Jesus. Everyone wanted, but Tim found him, so, you know, well, that's okay. Maybe next time I can eat some of the cake. Well, you've had the opportunity to read over 800 letters that your parents exchanged, and you're going to share the delightful and historical love story of your parents. So, children always like to hear about their parents and what they're going on. Father's holding up the book right now. Tell us a little bit about what you found out.
Well, first of all, The Courtship of Two Doctors is a book of letters. It's their actual love letters that they wrote. They met as medical students. She was in New Orleans and he was in Omaha. And they corresponded over 2 years before their marriage. So yes, it was nearly 800 letters that I drew on. It was a privilege, truly, to get to know my parents before they were parents, before they were even a couple. They were as young people, and I like who they were. I think we could have been friends. I enjoyed recognizing my father's gentle wit and prankster heart, and my mother's ease with navigating in a man's world. As you know, a woman medical student was quite rare in those days. And better than that, she saw past my father's insecurities and saw the man he could become. In her second letter, she says, "I've never before met anyone who had such fine and clean ideas and thoughts and ambitions before, and I know that you will live up to them."
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's great. You know, I have to admit, I've read some of my dad's letters when he was over in Europe during the Second World War to my mom. And it's really opening a window on people before, you know, they were your parents, as you say. And your parents are very special, too, because I know that they were trailblazers in 2 major areas, even risking their own health. Can you tell us about that?
Well, yes. This was the era before antibiotics in medical training, and the hospitals were overcrowded anyway.
Okay.
I actually learned a great deal from the letters, although I did begin this project with my father before his death at the age of 91. He wrote the first draft of the prologue, which describes how they met. But they both, in the second year of the letters, which is their internship year, they both lost months of training to serious illness. Now, I knew my mother had contracted tuberculosis in her first rotation at Charity Hospital in New Orleans. I did not know my father was hospitalized 3 times that year, once with scarlet fever, where they put him in semi-darkness for 3 weeks to protect his vision. And this was the time they were trying to build a life together, a future together. So it was very difficult. Ultimately they decided to trust in God and the relationship they built letter by letter.
What would you say you learned most about your parents by reading the letters, and were there any surprises for you?
Well, I think the major surprise was about my father's illnesses, but I think I recognized who the people that they had become. One of the things that shines through this book is the slow unfolding of love from really fascination, and that's what you get in the prologue that my father wrote. Just fascination for this girl from the South. Progressing through friendship, through trust, and then to love. And what this shows, my parents in their later lives, Catholic physicians in Shreveport, Louisiana, strong proponents of pre-Cana and marriage preparation programs, and this book shows why.
Right. Now, here at Catholic TV, you know, we love Louisiana. We have so many great viewers and supporters in the great state, and your love of the state is evident, as I know the proceeds from the book benefit LSU School of Medicine in Shreveport, isn't that?
Yes, that's true. My father co-founded that. Yes, and it also benefits a marriage ministry program in our diocese.
which of course would be something near and dear to both of their hearts.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's great.
Yes.
So what would you say, for someone who's reading this, what was your goal, Martha, in terms of what do you want them to get out of it? Is it to show how love is so important? What's your goal?
Well, I wanted to, of course, preserve their legacy, their promotion of marriage preparation. But the way to do this, it offers a role model, I believe, for young people who may be discouraged by the divorce culture, the freewheeling sexuality that's celebrated by our culture. I think you learn here that romance is sweeter when it's represented by fidelity and draws on deep wells of faith.
It's all about romance.
Well, it is a faith-filled courtship, as our bishop called it.
I love that. I wish I had letters from my parents, but first of all, my father would never give those to me, I'm sure. He's watching in Florida right now.
Jimmy.
I know, Dad, you wouldn't give me those letters, so that's okay. But I just think that's a wonderful way to know more about your parents. And also, it's an example to all of us of how we should live our lives, which I think is a wonderful thing. You have a website, and it's delightful. How can people find the website? What's the address? And how can they learn more about getting the book?
Oh, it's very easy. The website is marthafitzgerald.com, and you can go from there to get the book, and you'll find there a bit more about my background in journalism and my travels. And I hope to go to the Holy Land this year.
Oh, good for you.
Yes.
Good for you. I have to thank you on behalf of all of us, too, for making the trip, speaking of travels, all the way up from Louisiana to tell us about the Courtship of Two Doctors. Thank you so much for doing that.
It was a pleasure.
And by the way, with a last name like Fitzgerald, you'd think you come from Boston with all the Irish up here.
Oh, you would think so, but that's my husband's family.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for doing what you did and for writing this book and sharing that with us. I always think that's wonderful.